Stabbed 12 times, paralyzed, always reminded. It doesn't get easier, I got stronger. I'm a walking contradiction with endless possibilities. Emotionally, I'm unstable. Physically, I'm weak. Mentally, I am strong. I am a wounded healer. It doesn't get easier, I got stronger. I'm love. I smell like home. I sound like my mama's prayers. I look like I'm sure. I see beauty in the struggle, grateful. It never got easier, I just got stronger. I'm choosing to be strong. Be a voice for those who have been silenced. Speak on the unspoken like a phoenix, still I rise. It won't be easy, but you will be stronger. I'm here. You are here. We are here.
Hey, how you doing this evening? You guys, welcome to the Silence Kills podcast. This is the Silence Kills podcast where we will discuss, trauma, pain, abuse, and healing, and how, different ways that we can get there. We have a guest speaker today. I will be interviewing Matthew the Prophet. How you feeling today, Matthew?
I'm
you want
good.
me to call
I'm
you
good.
Prophet?
Prophet is fine.
Okay.
But I'm definitely good to be here. Glad to be on the show.
All right. Thank you. Can you introduce yourself and tell the listeners what your occupation is? What you're doing in this moment.
Okay, definitely. As you said, my name is Matthew the Prophet. You call me Prophet. My background is definitely in security. And I just recently, well, actually, I shouldn't say recently, but I've gotten into the whole process of dealing with domestic violence victims, sexual assault victims. In a nutshell, getting an organization started, a security team started to do protection detail. I guess that's a simple version of it. And setting up an event now on Saturday to bring awareness to it and, keep the ball rolling, basically, the She Too movement.
Okay. So I see you say you're into security. What made you want to get into security and helping, domestic violence individuals?
Well, actually, originally I got into security just to make money. Growing up in D.C., security and police work was the last thing on my mind. But, when you get in a position you're trying to make money and pay bills, you'll do whatever it takes to make it happen. But once I got into it and, got into, training with firearms and, different techniques and stuff, I learned that I liked it. So I got on a journey to try to be a police officer, but I guess you could say God had other plans for me, and it wasn't to be a police officer, but it was kind of to be, I guess you will, a police officer for, the victims in a nutshell. So it took some time, to kind of find my calling, but I kind of walked into dealing with, victims and going through court situations and just helping out the best way I could with, the women and victims that couldn't stand on their own feet.
Okay. Thank you. How long was you a police officer? And how long did it take for you to realize that wasn't really your calling?
Well, I've been a special police officer in D.C. for probably a little over 5 years. So I never made it to actually being, I was on my way to trying to be in D.C. police or be in the feds. And as I kept pushing to get in the door, for that, it was the door was kind of partially open, but I never could get to the end of it and actually get on. And I just kept getting roadblocks for different reasons. And then I realized, I guess, as I started kind of dealing with different victims and being put in situations, sometimes you got to reevaluate what are you really doing. You keep hitting a brick wall, and you can't get through, you got to reevaluate and figure out what's really going on. So
Right.
once I reevaluated and, figured out something's got to give because something ain't going right. But then I ended up being put in situations, with women, going through domestic. And after a few situations, I guess over the past probably 10 years by default, I recognized, okay, this must be it, and it makes sense. So I just used the security skills that I already had to make a difference with, the victims. And it works.
Okay. All right. So could you tell me some of the, the common traits, or even can you touch on some of the situations that you have been involved in? You said you kind of be alongside different survivors, helping them go through, some of the aftermath of the things that they have gone through, and also while they're still going through it. Can you talk to us about some of the traits that that you see?
Yeah, definitely. I think the number one trait that first comes to mind is fear. Fear and a survivor mentality. Basically, I guess I remember years ago, one of the women that went to a church I used to visit frequently in Southeast D.C., and I didn't even know, this was younger, like I said, this was probably around 10 years ago, and I didn't even know she was going through domestic abuse, but just through talking to her and her getting to know me, she just all of a sudden asked me, can I walk her in her house to get her stuff? She's going through a situation. She wasn't completely sure in telling me what it was, or I kind of figure it out. But she said everything's not that bad right now, but I just feel like it might be a fight if I'm alone in the house trying to get my bags to leave out. So just so I'm safe, I just need you to be with me so my boyfriend knows that I'm safe. And I did that, and he actually came in the house, and nothing actually happened. But stuff like that has happened, and it's like, it was kind of like on-the-job training without even realizing the direction I was really going in, because I was just doing it being a friend, not realizing how serious the stuff was because I wasn't aware of domestic violence at the time. And you're aware of it, but I wasn't aware of how I would be connected with it. And then another situation, I just jumped until about a year later, or I guess 6 months ago, about another friend of mine in church again. Long story short, she had been in a domestic situation with her children's father a year or two ago, and then it came back around. It almost started coming back around because I was in a picture. I had to walk her back or hold her hand basically through the court process. Basically, he actually got to the house the same time I was there, and we didn't know each other was going to be there. I had already been coming to the house. We were doing church events together, and he literally walked in the house without permission. He used her son to do it, walked upstairs, and it was kind of weird how it happened. So basically I had to confront him and almost handle him. Montgomery County Police had to show up. It got taken care of. I ended up walking her through the restraining order process because she'd already been through it. I let her know she had to go through it again, and I was with her through it. Acted in the position of a court advocate, actually talking to the judge for her because she was so nervous in doing it. And from then, that whole process, that's what it all dawned on me and clicked. Okay, this is it. This is really it. This is what I need to do, and this is what's needed. And from there, it all unfolded, and I was like, I got it. And then, that's when the vision started with, the She Too movement that I'm doing and just getting the security company together and everything I'm doing to help out and get deeper into situations, pretty much.
Okay. So what type of abuse would you say these women have been enduring? You know how you have physical abuse, financial, spiritual, emotional. Can you know, tell us?
Yeah, I think most of it is physical. I wouldn't say as much financial. I mean, people go through financial situations, in relationships and marriages that can lead to divorce, but these are different types of struggles. This is trauma. A lot of it, is dealing with, men that saw their father or people members of their family going through, their mothers getting hit, beat up, whatever. It's a mindset that that is kind of adapted based on what they go through. That's why I said, a lot of it it's fear and trauma. And I almost want to say somewhat mental illness, depending on the situation, psychological damage from what I've come across a lot of women that have not necessarily been through it themselves. Nobody's put their hands on them, but they've seen their mother or their siblings had their hands put on them, and they had to grow up watching it happen. So they're just psychologically damaged from that. But it's a number of things. Yeah, I think those are the biggest ones, though.
Okay. Thank you. So I see you said that a lot of these situations inspired you to create your security company or the company that you're trying to start. Because I was going to ask, like, how, in general, how do you think dealing with these survivors have changed your life or made you have a new perspective or outlook on, just how you view things? Because I know you said you were just being a friend to a woman at some point, and then you started to realize how deep and, complex the domestic abuse actually was. So, like, how has it changed your perspective and views just in general?
Well, I think when you go through it and you see it, like when I saw my friend go through even the whole court process, it's like watching a baby or young child or like somebody, when I say below teenager, like a under a teenager, 10, 11 years old, scared to speak up, literally like traumatized and scared to speak up, and you could tell in their voice is low, they're trembling, their mindset is thinking about retaliation, protecting their kids. So when you see all this, it makes you understand how serious it is, and it makes you understand the type of trauma they're going through, because you can see it in a physical sense, because their body, their body, the composure is reflecting how they're feeling.
Right.
Right. And it kind of, for me, because I'm also a brother, it just took me into protective mode, or bodyguard mode, I'll say, or security mode, however you want to say it, because it's like, I wouldn't want anybody that I care about or love to have to go through trauma or be in fear for their life, especially over something that is out of their control. It just doesn't. It's not fair to me, because it's like you didn't do anything to cause this. So, and then the abuser is dealing with you like that because he has no backup. So it gives you a perspective like, wow, okay, if I can do something, I'm going to do it. And then the fact that when it's a calling, too, I think it's different when it's something that you just want to do and you're being nice about it than when it's a calling. Because for me, God showed me it was a calling for my life, which means I'm gonna go until I drop, because it's what I was born to do. It took some years to figure that out, but sometimes you gotta, grow up and recognize who you are to the fullest to even be able to handle the calling that's on your life.
Right.
But it's it gives you a reality check. Like, this stuff is real. I mean, you're putting your life on the line because it is risk in it. But God always gives you the tools to be able to handle situations in a proper way. And He has your back no matter how crazy the situations may be. So that becomes a reality.
Mm-hmm.
If that answers your question.
Right. Yeah, and I definitely agree. You said a lot of people who are in these situations, the abusers, when they feel like the victim has no backup or no one to support them or, come and protect them, they just feel like they have free range to do whatever they want, basically. So I do think, bringing security into play is definitely, needed, because I think that's a big factor that contributes to a lot of the abuse that victims receive, whether that's a male or female. Have you had any of your own personal experience with, trauma, abuse, or even witnessing abuse in your home with your parents or your siblings?
Yes and no. Really, I'm trying to even think. Really, somewhat with me. My father was verbally abusive. So because of that, it allowed me to understand mental strain in a way. Not really the same as kind of I'll say I don't think it's at the same level as some of the women that I know that have gone through domestic situations. But I don't know, I guess abuse is abuse. I guess the other difference is it's not, sometimes our parents aren't necessarily trying. Like, my father wasn't trying to, he was trying to make me tough. So it was a kind of a different dynamic. And instead, he just drove me to an edge.
Right, because it's a thin line between discipline and, teaching your kid and, doing something that will affect them negatively in the long run.
Yeah. And he realized what he did. It was crazy that he realized what he did, and he actually, told me at one point, he's like, I know I made you a monster, and I'm sorry. And, but, it is what it is. Now, the only thing that kept me from really being a monster is, being born again and being in church. Being able to, Jesus came to my life around 2004 and shifted my whole perspective, and he became my godfather, my gangster. So he put his own type of fear in my heart, like, I run you, you belong to me. So I don't care what you've been through, I got a purpose for you, and my purpose is going to outweigh what you've been through, and that was real. It outweighed what I've been through. So I'm not going to say it's all perfect, but when you have perspective on things, on your abuse and what's happened to you, you can kind of push through it and be who He's called you to be. And I think that also is what makes the difference in the life and death of a victim. A lot of the women don't recognize who they are. Even the girl I helped recently, when she was able to get out of her situation, she had never really been single for that long because she, her abuser was the demon she knew and was her comfort zone. So when she came out of it, it was like, dang, okay, well, that's what I knew was coming. Like, now I'm getting to know a whole new me because I've never been away from the dude. Yeah, so it's an interesting process how all that goes.
Right. Yeah, it definitely can get very complicated when the same person that you was loving and sometimes even having children with, you just is very romantic and things like that, and then it takes a turn. But that person, in a lot of abusive relationships, it's a long process of the abuser isolating, manipulating, and things like that. So when they, maybe some time into the relationship and towards the end, they've been isolated from a lot of their family and friends. And, you know, at that point, they don't have anyone else, and so they keep returning back to that abuser because that's the only person who is still showing them love or whatever else attention that they're seeking. So it definitely creates a different dynamic. There's a lot of factors that are, you know, that are in situations like that.
Definitely.
Why do you think the things that we are doing are needed, especially in our community? Do you think there are a lot of people willing to go as hard as you, or do you think a lot of people are in these roles but don't really have the passion for it? Why do you think what you're doing is important?
I think that what I'm doing is going to be changing lives. I think that as a community, we don't realize how much help we need, and I think that we're scared to get help and don't understand who we are as a people. Just in general, from what I've seen, you know, a lot of domestic situations happen. Even actually, I can't even say just domestic. Regular relationship situations. There's so many people, men and women, that are getting in situations not even realizing who they are and wonder why things just go south. Even in the process that I've been in with learning about abusers, victims, and just the whole nine, I've been educated and enlightened on all angles of the situation, and that the knowledge I've gotten has allowed me to be stronger in recognizing what I need to do with my calling and in my part. But a lot of us stay ignorant, you know, to who we are, what we need, how to handle things, how to handle relationships. I mean, I'm looking at it like a lot of abusers are abusers because they don't, not only do they not know themselves, but they don't know. You can't love somebody else. You can't even love yourself. You can't take care of or handle somebody else. If your example is another abuser, or you just don't have an example of anything.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, and I think that's the game. That's the game changer or the life changer in any situation. Like, you know, you put yourself in charge of people's lives when you're in relationships, just in general. Whether you realize it or not, whether it's a big or small way, you put your, like when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a spouse, you're trusting them with your life to some extent.
Yep.
And in my position, I'm like, well, since this is what's going to be out here, I'm going to do my best to shut it down and do things according to God's will. And all I can do is do my part. And let it be known at that.
All right, speaking of that, tell us where your name came from, Prophet. Why are you called the Prophet?
Good question. Well, I actually am a church prophet. Don't say a whole lot of it because a lot of people don't understand what a prophet is in church. But the funny thing is, my name actually came from, my name kind of came from me riding motorcycles, being in a motorcycle club. I kind of created from there, although I operated as a prophet in church. But from that, it kind of brought the name out. Then also I do poetry. So from the motorcycle club to doing the poetry, I'm like, I got to put a label on me that represents who I am, but that is really me. A prophet, like a minister, you know, same realm but a little different. But, you know, when you're dealing with churches, a lot of churches are scared of prophets because of what they do, what they can see spiritually. So you know, and a lot of churches I've been to have not completely accepted me for what I am. And sometimes you got to learn to be okay with that and recognize your place and with God and just keep it moving. So being the prophet and a poet and a writer, you know, I use it, instead of using it as a church ranking or a church positioning. I just use it as a tagline, but it's a real tagline. But everybody doesn't know that it's real. Well, some people ask me, and they're like, "Yeah, you really a prophet?" Like, yeah, actually, I'm really a prophet. I don't need a church to back me up with that because I know who God has created me to be. And how deep you want to go with it depends on you. I can go as deep as anybody want to go if they're ready for it. So,
exactly.
yeah.
Locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being so open. Can you tell us more about this upcoming panel? You said you're one of the creators of the She Too movement.
Yeah. So basically,
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, the She Too movement. What's a simple way to put it? It kind of. No, actually, I'm not even gonna say that. The She Too movement is just a movement set up for domestic violence victims and women that have gone through sexual assault, domestic violence, a whole bunch of other stuff, in that realm. And basically, me and my partner, my business partner, kind of came up with it on default from just working on her. She has a magazine that deals with women's empowerment, and I was actually trying to work on a magazine. Then God gave me the vision for the movement and the security to, all the other stuff that comes with it. But She Too is a movement set up for, to bring awareness to women that have been through things. And it's actually being set up to bring together people in these different nonprofit organizations that are already active, that I'm finding out know of each other but don't specifically know each other, haven't been each other's presence.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
I guess, go ahead.
Oh, well, I'll just go ahead. So when the show happens, we're about to see how things really go down. So go ahead.
Exactly. This is really how Prophet, he came and wanted to collaborate with Silence Kills, because like he was saying, he wanted to be able to help a lot of nonprofits that are dealing with these survivors. And he also said that a lot of survivors are in the same community with these organizations and clubs and companies, but we're not necessarily interacting or engaging or giving that complete support that it takes for all, because, it takes a village for us to truly get this message across. We can't have, so I definitely agree. Can you tell us, how you or why you decided to collaborate with Silence Kills? Let me give a little bit of background. So Silence Kills is a nonprofit that I'm trying to start to encourage people to speak out using art, and art that's not necessarily just painting or sketching, that includes, modeling, dancing, singing, whatever you put your skills into. And so somebody actually referred Prophet to me, a friend of mine who's also a survivor, and he just decided to be on board with our movement because he's standing for the same things that we're standing for, protecting and constantly empowering the victims so that they can become survivors, so they won't cross that threshold of staying a victim and becoming survivors, and then also trying to help them thrive. Silence Kills, we have a GoFundMe called the Silence Kills Startup Fund. I'm trying to raise money to incorporate in D.C. Just so I could make this idea, this dream, a reality, because I know it's truly needed, especially in our community. I feel like a lot of people are not grinding hard enough to truly make the impact that I want to make on the community, and that I'm sure Prophet also wants to make on our community. You go ahead now.
Okay, I forgot the question.
Okay, just tell us, just how we connected, and then also why you decided to, take Silence Kills alongside you on this journey.
Okay. Well, as you just, you heard how we connected through a mutual friend. It's interesting, because I think me and you were both kind of nervous when we met. Like, where is this going? Who is this person? And I'm even thinking about the whole process. And I got to commend Shahira for, even just meeting up with pretty much a stranger after what she's been through. Because I know it was not easy. Because I'm basically very random. Like, nobody saw it coming. Nobody really sees me coming. It's just kind of how I like it in a way. Yeah, when I met her and the team, the people that she works with, it just made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense for what I'm trying to do. And it not only enlightened me, but it educated me a whole lot. And, the things that need to be done, and even the people I need to connect with from her stories and her situations. She also gives you a real perspective on this is really the reality and the magnitude of violence and risk that you're getting into. Which for me doesn't scare me at all, but you gotta know your enemy. You gotta know your situation, you gotta know your enemy, you gotta, always understand what you're getting into. So you know how to prepare. So it just fits each other. Like I'm trying to, like my organization, which is gonna be DVP Solutions, Domestic Violence Protection Solutions. I'm trying to get together, it's all about the security part. And it all just makes sense. And I don't know, I'm still waiting to see how God unfolds everything, but it's all going to be divine connections, divine revelation, and divine situations that, that are probably going to help, thousands of women. Shahira's already doing stuff, and, I'm just trying to follow behind her and doing what I can. And as I said before with the event, connect organizations so we can all, put several hands, to link up and make stuff happen.
Right.
And it actually is interesting because based on your situation, like you still need help.
Exactly.
And even somewhat protection, just in general, in some ways, and for the future, which a lot of women need, because, our justice system, our court systems, factually are not foolproof to anybody, so that. Yeah, and that's why I plan on becoming a court advocate, and connecting with the courts, the attorney generals and, council people and all type of politicians, and making them accountable for things that need to happen, in the DMV. Yeah.
So I'm gonna refresh the new listeners a little bit. Today, this Silent Skills is a show. We're talking about domestic violence and the trauma from it, and also solutions and just our plans moving forward. Interviewing Matthew the Prophet. He is the CEO of DVP Solutions, Domestic Violence, he said Protection Solutions, which will be a company, a security company to basically help, empower, secure, and protect domestic violence survivors, who are in these situations. Then also we're talking about the upcoming panel that we have this Saturday. I will be on a panel, and Prophet, you can talk more about the people that you have on the panel, and also, just tell us about the time and location and how these people can RSVP for tickets.
Okay.
So they can know how to get there.
Okay, well, it's actually, I'll start with, it's the Art of Noise, which is on Georgia Avenue, Northwest D.C. Let me try to look up the address real quick. But it's actually 2 blocks north of Georgia Avenue Petworth Metro stations. It is, I think I had it was from 6:30 to 9:30. I'm trying to get the specific address.
I can look it up.
Okay. But, yeah, it is, what was I going to say? We were talking about the timing.
Right, the panel, the timing
panel,
and what's
yes,
actually going to be happening there and who's on the panel.
Definitely. Yeah, we have, for the panel, we have Deja Perez, celebrity radio host for 93.9 WKYS. She's already spoken. She's already had interviews with domestic violence survivor. So that's why she got my attention. We're going to have Mildred Muhammad, award-winning speaker, the wife of the sniper. I can't remember the sniper's name, but the sniper from years ago. I can't remember his name, though. But she was... Yes. Yeah, and Andrea Gleaves from the D.C. Coalition Against Domestic Violence. You, of course. And Diana Smith, Diana Faith, also called New Vision, a poet and survivor and advocate. And Jackie Roan, who is with the Prince George's County Division of Domestic Violence. Then the moderator is my business partner, Keela Clark, who is the CEO of Neuro Magazine. Also Amber Hicks, who is another, who is a survivor of domestic violence. We're going to have a, I'll say beauty bar, basically a massage therapist doing facials and other things. Refreshments. What else? I think that'll be it. I'm setting it up to be a very comfortable place where people can share their story. It's really going to be questions asked to the panelists, to have serious, raw dialogue. I'll be hosting it, kicking us off. And like I said, the plan is to, get everybody educated, get help, get funding for organizations, and start this She Too movement off with a bang. So people are aware that what the victims are going through, what the organizations are that can help them, and, making stuff happen in a nutshell.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you. And so you all, our listeners, you can go to eventbrite.com/she2, SHE, and the number 2, eventbrite.com/SHE, and the number 2. And the address is 3927 Georgia Avenue Northwest, Unit number 3. It's called The Art of Noise. And, of course, this is in Washington, D.C. So you all can register on that. And it's not too far, Georgia Avenue by either Shaw Howard Metro Station or Georgia Avenue Petworth Metro Station. Can you
and
tell
it's
us,
free.
It's free, exactly.
Yes, it is
so
free
that's
now,
even more the reason for you all to come out and join us for the start of this movement called She Too, Healing from Harassment, Assault, and Domestic Abuse. Will be a panel. We'll be asked various questions just about survivorship, healing, and recovering. So do you have any upcoming plans for the She Too movement, like any, immediate things coming up?
Or
things that you want to see come to fruition?
Yeah, I think the main goal right now, I think I want to do this or have this event or these panel discussions maybe every 2 to 3 months to keep things rolling. I want to develop relationships with the organizations so everybody can be in communication and become stronger. And I need to get fundraising. This is a free event to bring people in, but, we need money to keep things going around. Need money to make things
Right.
happen. We need money to get these organizations. So we are definitely asking for donations. You know, bring your cash, your credit cards, your checks, all that good stuff. You know, so you can sow a seed into good ground to make things happen. You know, and I will just leave it at that for right now because you know there's other things that may come to pass, but we just got to see how things go for Saturday, and we'll go from there. Yep.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, for the new listeners, I encourage you all to check out our Silence Kills. You can even find us on Facebook. Just type in Silence Kills, SILENCE and you'll see our page, our mission, vision, and just our plans and ideas that we want to bring forward to our community. We also have a GoFundMe because we're trying to raise funds to start this as a nonprofit in D.C. This nonprofit will encourage people to speak out using art because it's very difficult for a lot of people to verbally say the things that they have been traumatized by. So, yeah, on our GoFundMe and even on our Facebook page, you can find more information about the things that I'm trying to bring forward, the things that I represent, the things that we're both going to be going hard for. I'm collaborating with, Prophet, CEO of DVP Solutions. So, yeah, I think we'll have coming together, we'll be able to make more of an impact than, single-handedly doing it. And I feel like you're on the right path, Prophet, by really bringing in people from these organizations and trying to bridge the gap of what we know we want to see to truly make that impact and what's not really happening right now. I think this is really the beginning of a massive movement that's much needed, has been needed for a very long time. I just think it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Do
indeed.
you have any more comments before we end?
Just keep up on Instagram, Rider1, RIDERR1. So you can keep up with the events that we do and set up because there will be more things to come. Just keep praying. We need prayer for these situations as there's a lot going on out here in these streets in D.C. and in relationships. Prayer is a powerful weapon. I got my own weapons, but prayer is probably the most powerful weapon.
Right.
As we move forward. So, that's it for me.
Okay, Prophet, thank you so much for coming on, answering my questions and also telling us about this panel that's coming up on Saturday. Again, you can go to eventbrite.com/she2. It's a panel of me and various, organizations and people that are doing very good things in the domestic abuse community. So I encourage you all to please register. It's a free event. You can also look up Silence Kills on our Facebook page. I have the information there as well. You can follow our Instagram, Silence Kills and the number 0. On Facebook, Silence Kills, and on Twitter, also Silence Kills and the number 0. Please look us up on Facebook and also our GoFundMe. We have a GoFundMe. We're trying to get Silence Kills Incorporated in D.C., a nonprofit that's, centered on domestic abuse and people surviving and being empowered and able to resume as normal as a life that they could after enduring trauma, pain, and then also educating people on what trauma is, educating people on how it's affecting them, and then also actively being in the community, being face-to-face with people who need to hear crucial information the most. So I thank you all for listening. I encourage you all to come back for our next show. Thank you.
Thank you, Shara, for having me.
You'll be on
Stabbed 12 times, paralyzed, always reminded. It doesn't get easier. I got stronger. I'm a walking contradiction with endless possibilities. Emotionally, I'm unstable. Physically, I'm weak. Mentally, I am strong. I am a wounded healer. It doesn't get easier. I got stronger. I'm love. I smell like home. I sound like my mama's prayers. I look like I'm sure. I see beauty in the struggle, grateful. It never got easier, I just got stronger. I'm choosing to be strong. Be a voice for those who have been silenced. Speak on the unspoken like a phoenix, still I rise. It won't be easy, but you will be stronger. I'm here. You are here. We are here.